Question 1. Through the lens of threat mitigation in a corporate network, Mr. Allen, a security administrator, notices that files downloaded through the web browser are being delivered to users before complete scanning by the threat emulation blade is finished. Upon investigation, he finds that users are exposed to potential zero-day malware before the scanning verdict is returned. What should Mr. Allen configure to ensure users are protected from unknown threats? File access. A. Configure the threat emulation blade to use background emulation mode. B. Enable the threat extraction blade to deliver sanitized versions of documents. C. Configure ATES inspection to exclude the threat emulation category. D. Reduce the threat emulation sandbox analysis timeout. Answer. Correct answer. B. Enable the threat extraction blade to deliver sanitized versions of documents. Explanation. In this scenario, the issue arises because threat emulation may take several seconds to analyze files in a sandbox. To prevent user exposure, threat extraction can deliver a sanitized, non-malicious version of the file immediately, which is especially useful for Office and PDF files. This is called a cleaning on the fly. Option A allows the user to receive the file before emulation verdict, which is risky. Option C exclude ATES traffic from scanning, which undermines threat prevention. Option D reduces sandbox time but may miss complex threats. Question 2. Considering the evidence of access logs, a network analyst observes that users from different departments receive inconsistent access permissions when accessing the same server despite being under the same access role in Smart Console. Upon analysis, it's discovered that their access is impacted by differences in the identity acquisition method. What is the most likely root cause of this behavior? A. The access role is incorrectly using source IP rather than user identity. B. The LDAP group assigned to the access role is not synchronized. C. The access rule does not have the install on option properly set. D. Different identity sources at query identity collector or captive portal are resolving users inconsistently. Answer. Correct answer. D. Different identity sources at query identity collector or captive portal are resolving users inconsistently. Explanation. Unified access control relies on accurate identity resolution. When multiple identity sources, e.g., at queried identity collector, captive portal, provide inconsistent or conflicting identity mappings, users may fall into or out of an access role unexpectedly. Option A is invalid because access roles use identity, not just IP. Option B would affect all users, not just a subset. Option C relates to rule application, not user mapping. Question 3. Based on the information given, is Rivera, an engineer, a multinational company, is deploying a site-to-site VPA using ICAV between two gateways located in different continents. She notices that after Phase 1 completes successfully, Phase 2 fails with a message, no proposal chosen. Well, which of the following best explains why Phase 2 negotiation is failing? A. The VPN domain object on one side includes a host, while the other side includes a subnet. B. The pre-shared keys do not match on both ends. C. NAT is disabled on one of the gateways. D. The IPsec proposals, encryption hash algorithms, do not match between peers. Answer. Correct answer. D. The IPsec proposals, encryption hash algorithms, do not match between peers. Explanation. A no proposal chosen error during Phase 2 quick mode indicates that both peers failed to agree on an acceptable set of IPsec transform sets, encryption, hashing, etc. This is the common misconfiguration in VPN deployments using ICAV. Option A causes issues during data transmission, not Phase 2 negotiation. Option B affects Phase 1, not Phase 2. Option C affects connectivity but not proposal selection. Question 4. The prevailing attitude toward performance management is proactive tuning. A security engineer notices the CPU ajon, a gateway spiking during peak hours. He enables SecureXL and CoreXL, yet performance bottlenecks persist. What diagnostic steps should be taken next to identify the root cause? A. Review the number of CoreXL firewall instances stat. B. Run CPinfo. While to examine the licensing status of SecureXL. C. Usenetstat. To analyze TCP retransmissions. D. Reboot the firewall to reset all SecureXL acceleration counters. Answer. Correct answer A. Review the number of coaxial firewall instances you multi-stat explanation. When coaxial is enabled, firewall workers are distributed across multiple CPU cores. If the number of firewall instances is suboptimal, performance may degrade. UEL multi-stat command displays the number of instances and CPU finity. Option B only checks licensing and isn't diagnostic. Option C doesn't isolate the firewall performance. Option D is disruptive and not diagnostic. Question 5. In a modern context of distributed environments is to sing installs a new security policy to a cluster of gateways. However, only one node in the cluster receives the policy. The other node remains on the old policy, resulting in inconsistent enforcement. What is the most likely reason for this issue? A. Cluster synchronization is disabled. B. Policy was installed using the install on gateway option instead of the cluster object. C. The policy contains rules incompatible with the second gateway. D. Smart console is outdated and causing policy push failure. Answer. Correct answer. B. Policy was installed using the install on gateway option instead of the cluster object. Explanation. In checkpoint clusters, the policy must be installed on the cluster object, not on individual nodes. Installing to one gateway bypasses cluster synchronization, causing version mismatches. Option A refers to state sync, not policy distribution. Option C would cause failure, not silent omission. Option D is unlikely, unless using legacy versions. Question 6. With the advent of hybrid work, is Naomi configures remote access VPN for users with certificates and LDAP authentication. Some users report connection errors with certificate CM mismatch. What should Naomi check to resolve this? A. Ensure client certificate CM matches users' distinguished name in LDAP. B. Disable URL checks on the client to bypass validation. C. Use pre-shared key authentication instead of certificate-based. D. Replace LDAP with Radius to simplify login flow. Answer. Correct answer A. Ensure client certificate CN matches users' distinguished name in LDAP. Explanation. When using certificates for remote access VPN, the common name CN in the client certificate must match the LDAP username, or the gateway will reject the identity. Option B is insecure and not recommended. Option C defeats the purpose of certificate-based auth. Option D doesn't address the certificate issue. Question 7. From a practical standpoint, dynamic objects are often used in cloud environments. If a security admin wants to allow traffic to a dynamically updated list of IPs used by a partner service, e.g. CDN, which feature should be used? A. Create a manual NAT rule with IP ranges. B. Use updatable objects in the rule base. C. Add the IPs to the local host file. D. Use a dynamic object with fixed IP address. Answer. Correct answer. B. Use updatable objects in the rule base. Explanation. Updatable objects are linked to external dynamic feeds, e.g. Microsoft 365 or zips, and are updated automatically. They are preferred over manual lists in cloud integrated networks. Option A is static and doesn't scale. Option C affects name resolution only. Option D contradicts the definition of dynamic. Question 8. A critical examination of clusterxl reveals that a two-node cluster frequently changes between active and standby. Mr. Braun investigates and notices CCP packets are being dropped by intermediate routers. Which protocol or port should he ensure is allowed to avoid this issue? A. EAT port 8116. B. TCP port 443. C. ICB type 3. D. EPA port 1812. Answer. Correct answer A. Port 8116. Explanation. Cluster control protocol CCP uses port 8116 to exchange heartbeats and sync information between cluster members. If this traffic is blocked, failover occurs unnecessarily. Option B for DTE's gear. Option C is unrelated to clustering. Option D is used for radius. Question 9. The effectiveness of troubleshooting depends on precision during advanced debugging of a suspected firewall kernel issue. Which command combination is best to trace kernel-level packet ROPs or leave a drop EFW near acceptor CE dump and IFD CPU in network mode? Answer. Correct answer A. Early drop. Explanation. Early drop is the most granular real-time kernel-level debugging tool in Checkpoint. It shows why packets are dropped, including rule-based anti-spoofing and NAT issues. Option B captures all traffic but not drop reasons. Option C is for interface-level captures. Option D is high-level performance monitoring. Question 10. In response to a growing mobile workforce, Istri Tanaka deploys the Mobile Access Blade. He wants to ensure seamless access without requiring users to install additional clients. Which feature best supports this? A. SSL Network Extender (SNX) in web mode. B. IPS VPN client with compliance enforcement. C. Endpoint Connect client in office mode. D. Capsule Workspace for mobile platforms. Answer. Correct answer A. SSL Network Extender (SNX) in web mode. Explanation. SNX in web mode allows clients SAPN access via a browser that's optimal for mobile or wired users without needing to install full VPN clients. Option B and C require software. Option D is for mobile devices but requires Capsule app. Question 11. In light of recent developments in disaster recovery planning, Istri Ortega configures a secondary management server for redundancy. During a routine test, the primary server is shut down, but none of the policy changes made on the primary in the last 3 days are present on the secondary. What most likely caused this synchronization failure? A. A full system backup was used instead of a management HAR synchronization. B. The secondary server is not licensed properly for HAR. C. The primary server's database was corrupted prior to failure. D. Automatic synchronization was disabled or misconfigured. Answer. Correct answer D. Automatic synchronization was disabled or misconfigured. Explanation. In management HAR, the primary management server must automatically synchronize configuration changes, policies, logs, objects with the secondary server. If autosync is disabled or fails, changes will not propagate. Option A relates to manual backup, not HAR. Option B would prevent HAR entirely, not partial sync. Option C could cause failure but not necessarily explain stale data. Question 12. Among the various NAT configurations, a network administrator wants to translate internal IPs based on specific destination services, e.g., web to one IP, mail to another. Which NAT method should be implemented to achieve this? Hide NAT. B. Manual NAT with port-based translation rules. C. Automatic NAT with dynamic objects. D. Domain-based NAT using reverse DNS resolution. Answer. Correct answer B. Manual NAT with port-based translation rules. Explanation. Manual NAT provides the flexibility to configure port and service-specific translations, enabling use cases like translating traffic to different public IPs based on service type. Option A is for hiding behind a single IP. Option C lacks server-specific granularity. Option D is not a checkpoint NAT method. Question 13. To better understand compliance issues, a company performed an audit and discovered that multiple gateways allowed SSH access from the Internet. The auditor flagged this as a violation. What should the compliance officer do to remediate this in the Smart Console? Add a cleanup rule to block all traffic. B. Use Compliance Blade to create a custom best practice that disallows SSH from any external source. C. Enable anti-spoofing on all interfaces. D. Disable SSH daemon on each gateway using CLI. Answer. Correct answer. B. Use Compliance Blade to create a custom best practice that disallows SSH from any external source. Explanation. The Compliance Blade allows administrators to define custom security best practices, including enforcement for specific services like SSH. It flags violations and provides remediation actions. Option A is broad and risks blocking legitimate traffic. Option C relates to IP spoofing, not service control. Option D disables SSH entirely, which affects managed. Question 14. By evaluating SecureXL performance, is Clark notes high EP usage and packets being processed by the firewall kernel instead of the acceleration path? Which command would help her verify which packets are being accelerated and which are not? A. Fitty. B. If Waxel stats. SC top the VP. Answer. Correct answer B. FWAX or stats. S. Explanation. FWAX or stats shows real-time securix or statistics such as the number of packets accelerated fast path versus processed by firewall path slow path. Option A shows core affinity. Option C is general performance data. Option D is VPN related. Question 15. The illustrated by a failed site-to-site VPN connection is to Ahmed sees the tunnel status as down in Smart View Monitor. Log show IC phase 1 failure. On further inspection, the error states, no proposal chosen of what's the most likely root cause. A. Mismatched subnet definitions in the VPN domain. B. Incorrect pre-shared key. C. Incompatible IC encryption hash algorithm proposal between peers. D. NAT is disabled on both sites. Answer. Correct answer. C. Incompatible IC encryption hash algorithm proposal between peers. Explanation. When phase 1 fails with no proposal chosen, it typically means that IC settings, encryption, hashing, DH group are not aligned between peers. Option A. Affects phase 2. Option B would show authentication failed, not proposal. Option D may cause tunnel issues, but not IC negotiation failures. Question 16. From multiple perspectives, log visibility is crucial for security operations. If the smart event administrator needs to correlate events from multiple security gateways, which component must be correctly configured and actively running? A. Smart log indexer. B. Smart event correlation unit. C. Security management API. D. Smart console log tab. Answer. Correct answer. B. Smart Event Correlation Unit. Explanation. The Smart Event Correlation Unit is responsible for collecting logs and applying event correlation rules across gateways. Without it, multi-source threat analysis fails. Option A indexes logs, but doesn't correlate. Option C exposes abuse, but doesn't process logs. Option D is the GUI, not backend component. Question 17. During the process of diagnosing a sporadic firewall crash, Monroe is asked to collect a complete core dump of the security gateway for TAC. Which command will best initiate the collection of the required crash dump? CP study OTL debug edible EMR SD safe configuration. Answer. Correct answer. C. VMco OS. Explanation. The VMco OS command creates complete core dump of the system memory, which is crucial for investigating kernel panics and firewall crashes. Option A restarts services but doesn't gather data. Option B is for real-time debugging. Option D saves configurations but not memory states. Question 18. The development of a new upgrade path for security gateways requires careful planning. A lead admin needs to upgrade a cluster of gateways with zero downtime. What method should be used to upgrade via? C. Use using cluster-wide package push. B. Run install database from CLI. C. Perform a manual backup and clean install. D. Use the advanced upgrade method with cluster XL upgrade procedures. Answer. Correct answer. D. Use the advanced upgrade method with cluster XL upgrade procedures. Explanation. The advanced upgrade method allows each cluster node to be upgraded one at a time, ensuring high availability is preserved. Option A risks downtime. Option B is for database updates. Option C causes service interruption. Question 19. Throughout the course of a forensic investigation, Bell wants to use Smart Event to visualize trends over time and identify anomalies in SH access across all gateways. Which feature allows him to do this? A. Views and Reports module. B. Smart Dashboard NAT section. C. Policy Editor Statistics tab. D. Smart Update Compliance check. Answer. Correct answer. A. Views and Reports module. Explanation. Views and reports in Smart Event allow admins to create custom queries and timelines for traffic, including SSH access patterns. Option B configures NAT. Option C shows policy rules. Option D checks updates, not traffic. Question 20. When faced with encrypted threats hidden in ATEs to traffic, what is the most effective combination of security blades? A checkpoint administrator should deploy to mitigate modern malware. A. URL filtering and anti-bot. B. Application control and threat emulation. ATES inspection with threat emulation and threat extraction. D. IPS with static NAT. Answer. Correct answer. ATES inspection with threat emulation and threat extraction. Explanation. Modern malware often uses ATES to bypass inspection. ATES inspection decrypts traffic, allowing threat emulation to sandbox it, and threat extraction to clean malicious files. Option A doesn't decrypt traffic. Option B lacks decryption, reducing effectiveness. Option D mixes unrelated tools. Question 21. The primary reason for deploying multi-queue on the checkpoint security gateways to optimize traffic handling on high-bandwidth interfaces is to Becker observes that despite enabling multi-queue, the CPU usage on one core remains abnormally high. What is the most likely cause? A. The NIC driver does not support multiple receive queues. B. SecureXL is not properly licensed. C. CoreXL affinity settings are overriding multi-queue configuration. D. Interface bonding mode conflicts with multi-queue. Answer. Correct answer A. The NIC driver does not support multiple receive queues. Explanation. Multi-queue leverages hardware-based queues to distribute traffic across multiple cores, but this requires NIC drivers that support multiple receive RX queues. If unsupported, traffic is processed serially on one core. Option B impacts acceleration, not queuing. Option C affects affinity, but multi-queue is lower level. Option D may influence throughput but not queue creation. Question 22. To illustrate this point, ISTA-LAM configures multiple inline layers within a firewall policy to delegate rule writing to separate teams. However, traffic is being dropped even though the top layer rule appears to permit it. What is the most likely cause? A. Implicit cleanup rule in the inline layer is blocking the traffic. B. The top layer rule was not published. C. The inline layers are not configured as ordered layers. D. Rule base contains legacy NAT rules that override access policy. Answer. Correct answer A. Implicit cleanup rule in the inline layer is blocking the traffic. Explanation. Each inline layer has its own rule base and implicit cleanup rule, which denies all traffic unless explicitly allowed. If the rule allowing traffic exists only in the parent layer, but not within the inline layer, it will still be dropped. Option B would affect all changes. Option C is unrelated to permit any behavior. Option D doesn't interact with access policy in that way. Question 23. In comparison with previous hardware, a new gateway has significantly more CPU cores, but performance hasn't improved. On inspection, traffic isn't evenly distributed across cores. What should the administrator verify first? A. CoreXL is properly configured and the number of FW instances matches available cores. B. SecureXL fastpath is disabled by default. C. The CU's version installed has a known core allocation bug. D. SND cores are limited to physical CPUs only. Answer. Correct answer A. CoreXL is properly configured and the number of FW instances matches available cores. Explanation. CoreXL allows traffic load balancing by assigning firewall worker instances to multiple cores. If misconfigured, most traffic can be stuck on a single core, underutilizing the system. Option B is false. SecureXL is enabled by default. Option C is not typical root cause. Option D misstate SND behavior. It can span logical cores. Question 24. From the perspective of user experience, is K-Implements a policy allowing mobile users to access web-based internal resources through Mobile Access Blade? However, users report login loops when accessing certain apps. What configuration should she verify? SSL network extenders compatibility mode is disabled. B. Reverse proxy application URL paths are not properly defined in the mobile access portal. C. VPN domain is too broad and overlaps with external networks. D. Geo-protection is blocking mobile user countries. Answer. Correct answer. B. Reverse proxy application URL paths are not properly defined in the mobile access portal. Explanation. Mobile Access Blade relies on reverse proxy configuration to translate internal URLs into externally accessible ones. If the path mapping or host names are incorrect, the browser may loop authentication without success. Option A, impact SysNX or web apps. Option C would cause routing issues, not login loops. Option D would block access, not cause loops. Question 25. Taking into account scalability, a customer using Smart Center needs to manage 30 separate business units with unique policies and access restrictions. What is the most appropriate solution? A. Use global policy layers in Smart Console. B. Implement multi-domain security management (MDMM). C. Create shared policy packages with per-site VPN communities. D. Deploy identity awareness with access roles. Answer. Correct answer. B. Implement multi-domain security management (MDMM). Explanation. MDSMM allows the creation of separate domains, each with independent policy packages, objects, and administrators, ideal for managing multiple business units. Option A allows for reusability but lacks isolation. Option C applies only to VPN logic. Option D controls user access but doesn't scale across business units. Question 26. Despite the fact that endpoint VPN users can connect successfully, Mr. Jensen observes that users are receiving different IPs from overlapping pools, creating conflicts on the LAN. What should be adjusted to avoid IP conflicts? A. Configure office mode to assign IPs from an NEAP server. B. Create a non-overlapping IP pool in office mode settings. C. Remove NAT traversal from client configuration. D. Reduce VPN tunnel MTU size to avoid fragmentation. Answer. Correct answer. B. Create a non-overlapping IP pool in office mode settings. Explanation. Office mode assigns internal IP addresses to VPN clients. If the assigned range overlaps with internal networks, IP conflicts occur. A non-overlapping IP pool ensures VPN clients stay in a distinct subnet. Option A is valid but adds complexity. Options C and D are unrelated to IP conflicts. Question 27. Examining the consequences of a recent system crash, Laurent needs to understand why certain kernel tables filled up during a DDoS simulation. Which command would provide visibility into kernel tables and their sizes? The AWS, B, top, EOE or FITI, D, netstat. Answer. Correct answer, AFWM. OS. Explanation. FWM. Best provides a summary of kernel tables showing maximum sizes, current usage, and drops, which is critical in detecting overloads like state table exhaustion during DDoS. Option B is general performance. Option C show EPU core affinity. Option D shows routing info. Question 20. Under the assumption that all cluster configurations are correct, Istelu observes frequent failovers with state not synchronized errors. Which of the following is the most probable explanation? A. Stateful synchronization interface is overloaded or dropped. B. Cluster members use different versions of GaiaOS. C. The cluster is configured in load sharing mode. D. Policy installation was not followed by full sync. Answer. Correct answer A. Stateful synchronization interface is overloaded or dropped. Explanation. If the sync interface is dropping packets or overloaded, the members cannot maintain stateful failover, triggering frequent transitions. This is often due to using a busy interface or poor cabling. Option B is unsupported but doesn't cause sync loss directly. Option C allows sync. Option D affects rules but not stateful behavior. Question 29. The core principles of NAT require that for overlapping networks, traffic from site A 192.168.10.0.024 to site B 192.168.10.0.024 be translated appropriately. Which of the following NAT strategies enables this? A. Enable hide NAT on both sides. B. Use manual NAT with static NAT and host objects. C. Configure auto NAT with VPN community. D. Use domain-based NAT with smart groups. Answer. Correct answer. B. Use manual NAT with static NAT and host objects. Explanation. To resolve overlapping IP ranges across VPN sites, manual NAT is needed to translate internal networks into non-conflicting IPs via static NAT mapped on both sides. Option A breaks bidirectional comms. Option C lacks flexibility. Option D is not a checkpoint supported method. Question 30. The growing trend in evasive malware leads Mr. Erickson to enable threat emulation. He wants to ensure full file visibility, but without interrupting business productivity. Which deployment method balances security and user experience? A. Use background mode with threat extraction delivering cleaned file first. B. Block files until threat emulation verdict is returned. C. ESAP mail relay filtering to delay all attachments. D. DisATEs inspection to reduce processing delay. Answer. Correct answer A. Use background mode with threat extraction delivering cleaned file first. Explanation. Background mode lets users access a sanitized file immediately via threat extraction, while threat emulation continues analysis in the background. This ensures zero-day protection without user disruption. Option B introduces unacceptable delays. Option C affects mail only. Option D reduces visibility.